What is going on, Hive Warriors? It's your boy Edward V, and today we're going to talk about apple cider vinegar and does it truly help you with intermittent fasting in terms of fat loss, in terms of just the whole fasting process. Is it a true sidekick or is it not? I'm going to go ahead and break it down in this video. Stay tuned. Alright guys, quickly before we start, this video is brought to you by yours truly, Fledge Fitness and the Fledge Fitness Jump Rope. If you haven't gotten yours yet, what are you waiting for? With an ergonomic design, aluminum handle, and swivel design, you can't go wrong with the Fledge Fitness Jump Rope. Only $16.50. You can click on the top right hand corner of this video or down in the description box below. And of course, as always guys, thank you for your support. Now let's go ahead and jump right into the video. Apple cider vinegar ACV. Now, me, myself included, and many others who talk about intermittent fasting have looked at studies that involve apple cider vinegar. And yes, there are many anecdotal evidence out there for people using apple cider vinegar and being very successful with it while applying it with their intermittent fasting protocol. And this has been the case since like 2017, 2018, when people started to make that connection more and more with apple cider vinegar and intermittent fasting. Now, the thing with intermittent fasting is intermittent fasting in and of itself does do things like accelerate fat loss due to the ketone production that uses the fatty acids as the energy substrate for your brain. So yes, there is an element of fat loss with intermittent fasting. Now, if you apply another system like apple cider vinegar, does that further accelerate fat loss? Well, it's tricky to say that apple cider vinegar on its own further accelerates fat loss. Now, there are studies, don't get me wrong, there are studies, individual studies that show that there is an element of fat loss with apple cider vinegar. But you do have to look at the bigger picture when it comes to study analysis. Now, for example, in 2018, a small study conducted of humans that looked at apple cider vinegar for weight loss and fat loss. And in that study, they did see that with both groups and it being controlled and the groups being told to eat about 250 calories less, that more weight and more fat was lost in the apple cider vinegar group than the control group. Now we could say, yes, we understand that because of this study, this happens, but that's where you have to apply that nuance and understanding to scientific literature by not simply looking at one study. Now that one study is data and it's telling. It is possible. There are elements that show that there could be maybe something there where it helps you lose weight or burn body fat. But keep in mind, the fat that was burned that was significant was the visceral fat and not the subcutaneous fat. So subcutaneous fat is the fat that you actually can grab. The visceral fat is the fat that's inside of your body around your organs. And although it was significant with a p-value less than 0.05, the average weight loss wasn't that different, as it was about 2 pounds over the control group that just reduced 250 calories without apple cider vinegar in an 8-week period. But you're probably telling yourself, if they lost any weight at all and there was a difference, then that should show that there is a benefit, which is true, but still there were non-responders and it is one study. And one of the biggest caveats here is that although they were told to eat about 250 calories less, the usage of that apple cider vinegar actually had them consume less than 250 calories because of appetite suppression. Now there we can jump into the benefits of what apple cider vinegar provides to intermittent fasting. Now, before I continue, I don't want to derail this and make you think that I don't believe that apple cider vinegar is anything positive at all. I do believe that there are positive elements to apple cider vinegar. Apple cider vinegar is simply a yeast that's used to digest the sugars in apple, and that sugar then becomes an alcohol. A bacteria is used to turn that alcohol into acetic acid, and that is the fermenting process. That mixture of the yeast and the bacteria is what is actually called the mother, which you can see inside of the bottle itself. And that's simply what apple cider vinegar is. It's a highly acetic acid liquid that was simply fermented from the sugars that are contained in apples. Nothing special, but because of this process and where that sugar came from, apple cider vinegar ends up containing a lot of B vitamins as well as containing a lot of plant-based antioxidants. And not only that, apple cider vinegar has a good usage in terms of clearing or controlling bacteria, as there were physical studies done in which salmonella was actually eliminated using apple cider vinegar versus something like lemon juice or other vinegars. So applying a little bit of that on your salad, for example, can essentially clean the salad of its bacteria or mitigate the bacteria in your salad. So all of those elements create a positive usage for apple cider vinegar. But when using it with intermittent fasting, you get all of those health benefits that I mentioned, but at the same time, it works as a very aggressive appetite suppression. Now, there might not be anything metabolic or hormonal in terms of why apple cider vinegar creates this appetite suppression. The reason that this is happening is because it's lowering the appetite due to nausea. Now, that creates another element on top of it that you have to be cognizant of, that you have to be aware of. You must dilute apple cider vinegar because of its high acidic acid. There could be a lot of things. For example, if you have kidney issues, your kidneys might not be able to take a just straight apple cider vinegar to the head, which makes me cringe a little bit when I see people talk about apple cider vinegar and their thumbnail is them drinking straight out of the bottle of apple cider vinegar. Now, I know that I'm not saying that they're trying to mislead you in the video itself, and I do understand that they want you to click into the video, but whenever I see that, I do cringe a little bit because it may confuse people as to how you actually consume apple cider vinegar. You should not be consuming it directly with more than 2 tablespoons in a huge glass of water. That's how diluted it needs to be. So if you try to not dilute it simply to create more appetite suppression because of the nausea, and then I don't think that that is an effective way to help you with intermittent fasting because of the kidney issues that could arise and also teeth erosion because of the high acidity in apple cider vinegar and the limitations of the amount of studies we have. With intermittent fasting, we've had emerging research since the 1960s, so many different studies, thousands upon thousands of studies have been done already looking at different variations and different types of intermittent fasting protocols and scenarios and what have you. With apple cider vinegar, we literally have maybe 2 human trials, and the results are not that polarizing to definitively say that there is a benefit. You can't even really create a meta-analysis looking at this point because of the lack of studies that we have. All the other studies that use apple cider vinegar rarely look at it for weight loss specifically. But the ones that we do have do show weight loss, but with the caveat of the person eating less, more likely because of the nausea created with apple cider vinegar. Now, am I making this video to tell you not to use apple cider vinegar? Absolutely not. You can go ahead and put it on your food. I highly recommend to use it on your food. For example, on your salad, pouring a little bit of it on there, spreading it out, and then just eating it that way as opposed to drinking it so that it can help you in some way with intermittent fasting. Now, I have made videos in the past, specifically before the 2018 study and one with using that 2018 study, but as the lack of studies continue to come out and just the lack of studies overall, there has to be some sort of adjustment on this channel when it comes to talking about apple cider vinegar. Now, can you still use it? Absolutely. Can it help you suppress appetite? Absolutely. Is this something that's necessary for you to be successful with intermittent fasting? Absolutely not. There are other things that you can use to suppress hunger that don't require drinking apple cider vinegar. For example, drinking plain water does actually help you suppress hunger, because many times we confuse thirst for hunger, and other times, as long as you fill your stomach up with some water, it does reduce hunger pangs and suppress the feeling of having an appetite to eat something. So there are ways around it without having to deal with the acidic acid that comes with apple cider vinegar, or just even having to bother purchasing apple cider vinegar for this one specific thing of using it as a drink to suppress your hunger, when in reality you actually start to naturally suppress hunger after doing intermittent fasting for a certain period of time. And if you just apply water, then that's a liquid that contains the least amount of variables to be negative or create any kind of negative outcome while using it as an appetite suppression. So I hope this video has helped you guys. I'm going to go ahead and link the 2018 study down below, which is the most thorough human study that we have, even though the sample size was low and the results weren't as powerful enough to push to say that this indeed has this fat burning property. And of course, as always, I want to thank my patrons for my Patreon. I'm going to go ahead and put their names right up here. And as always, guys, I'll see you on Sunday for another FAQ. Peace!